Welcome to the NEXUS Arena Combat System, where chaos meets strategy in a visually stunning arena combat game, featuring endless variety, deep lore integration, and immersive sandbox combat. In NEXUS, you'll take on the role of a Lannister, commanding your fighter, called a Helot, in brutal arena battles for fame and fortune. But this isn't your typical skirmish game, because these Helots don't always listen. With an innovative ratio die and command points mechanic, every instruction you give your Helot is a calculated risk, requiring quick thinking and adaptability. In the heat of battle, you'll face hazards and obstacles that demand split-second decisions and a little bit of luck. And just like real combat, victory often goes to the one who can think on their feet. But it's not just about reacting. It's about outsmarting your opponents and seizing every opportunity to win over the crowd. So gather your friends, sharpen your wits, and test your mettle in tabletop's most chaotic showdown, the NEXUS Arena Combat System. Motivated by violence, fueled by dice.
Hey everybody, I'm Scott, co-founder of Devers Publishing, co-creator of NEXUS. Wanted to take a minute to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about what you're going to be looking at on this crowdfunding page, which is NEXUS. We've been working on NEXUS in one capacity or another since middle school. We got serious about it back in 2017 when we did our first Gen Con and exhibited there. We've been exhibiting there every year ever since. Play testing, running demos. Really early adopters of this game have everything in resin with plastic game boards and crazy frames that we were manufacturing in-house. It's come a long way since then. So a couple years ago, we had a successful crowdfunding campaign and we put together the base box, the kind of core NEXUS Arena combat system. It's the pre-painted version with the magnetic frames. It's got all the status tokens. It's got all the cards beautifully illustrated by Michael Recklin. If you look on Board Game Geek, it's got a really high rating. It's always hovering right around 8.5, 8.6. People enjoy this game. That said, there is a lot more to the game than what is in that base box, and there always has been, which is where the Legacy expansion came from. That brought in a whole new rule set that made it more like a Blood Bowl or a D&D campaign. NEXUS's sandbox, I think, is the best way to put it, right? You've got all these components, you've got all these pieces. There's a core system to it, which is the command cycle, and revolving around that core system, you have other elements that you can bring in or exclude from the game depending on how much chaos you want in that particular match. You have things like hazards, the braziers, the floor saws, the floor spikes, crates. These things can be added to the match or they can be taken away from the match. Well, with this expansion, we're putting more toys in that sandbox. We're adding the dark columns, we're adding toxic waste barrels, we're adding for the first time hostile entities, which are the barge beast and the creature pit. These have their own AI decks and they're indiscriminately trying to kill all the combatants. You can put all of these different components in to your liking and kind of make a game experience for that evening that's going to be very unique to that particular session. So let me get into NEXUS and let me give you kind of a large helicopter overview of the game. I don't want to get into all the rules. There's plenty of videos out there for you to look up if you want to get into the nitty-gritty. So big concept to understand in NEXUS: you're not the one fighting, you're a manager, you're like a Don King. These are your Mike Tysons that you're sending into battle. You don't really care what happens to Mike Tyson. You're only in this for your own fame and fortune. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to select your Lannister and your Helot. Okay, so that's the manager and that's the fighter. Then they're going to distribute influence cards and they're going to set up the board using schematics or through mutual agreement. A unique feature of NEXUS is your ability to add or remove different obstacles and hazards to the arena. So this is not only going to give the game infinite replayability, but it also gives you direct control over the amount of random chaos that you want to experience in any given play session. Now at its core, NEXUS revolves around command cycles. Each command cycle consists of a player rolling to establish turn order, followed by delegating their command points between movements and actions. You can look at this action menu and you can see all the various commands that are available for you to give your helot. There are limitless strategies available. Situational awareness is going to be key because movement is all grid based and positioning determines various attack and damage modifiers. Now this is positioning relative to the other players as well as the other objects that are in the arena. So you're going to spend your command rounds strategically navigating your helot around the arena and engaging in combat. And really, that's it. That's all there is to NEXUS. You're going to go through your command cycles, you're going to delegate your points, you're going to attack one another. The match ends when all but one helot is incapacitated or dead. Now, while you do get a small bonus for your fighter being the last one standing, that isn't what determines victory in NEXUS. You see these cred coins here that are used to track health? Well, those are also the winning mechanic of the game. Whoever has the most cred coins at the end of the match, that's the winner. Not to dive too deep into Jay and I's story, but we've known each other since elementary school. We've been working on NEXUS in one capacity or another since middle school. We got serious about it back in 2017 when we did our first Gen Con and exhibited there. We've been exhibiting there every year ever since. And it's a pretty fun, fascinating story. I highly recommend you go down to the About Us section on the page here, read a little bit about it. If you really want to deep dive into the story, you can check out our webpage and we go into a lot more detail there. But don't think that we're flying by the seat of our pants here. We've been around for a while. This thing, the tires have been kicked relentlessly on this game over the years. And what you have is a passion project made by gamers for gamers. The NEXUS Arena Combat system is just a one-off, sit around the table, chuck dice, see who wins. Once you add the Legacy expansion, however, then you get a persistence to the game. You're going to actually have a sheet where you're going to be recording your stats as a manager, as well as a sheet where you're recording and tracking your helot stats. Now, this persistence is going to be similar to something like a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, but kind of a lighter version of it. There's not so much emphasis or time being spent on character creation. All of those types of things are going to be going fairly quickly. But what you will be doing is monitoring your own stats, your helot stats. They'll be losing limbs. You can replace them with cybernetics. You can mutate your helots. Your helots are going to die. You're going to buy new helots. They've got different fame levels. You're going to have different fame levels. And it persists it and adds another layer of depth to the game for those who are interested in things like that. Role players out there love playing this style of NEXUS. If you're a Blood Bowl fan, you're going to love playing this style of NEXUS. But if this isn't something that interests you, the Legacy rulebook is a whole separate expansion that you don't even need to get involved with. Again, back to the sandbox thing. Even your play style is kind of up to your discretion in what you want to do with the game. We've even gone so far as to not limit it to just what comes in our box. There's a whole section in the Legacy Edition that talks about creating your own hazards and creating your own helots and creating your own rules, much like a game master would do for D&D. We call it a pit boss in the Nexus, and we encourage people to take the game and make it their own, do their own modifications, their own homebrew stuff. We have a My Mini Factory for those of you who don't want the pre-painted minis, right? I can't tell you how many comments I saw in our advertisements when we were promoting this campaign of people going, man, this looks great, but half the fun for me is painting it. Well, good, because we have that available. You can get resin versions of these miniatures on our website. You can go to My Mini Factory and download STL files. We take all aspects of play very seriously, and we try and do everything we can to give everyone a full experience for what they enjoy with the game. Again, I haven't seen a whole lot of other games out there that are like this, but we really want everyone to enjoy the game, and we want to bring people together from different experiences, right? I love the thought of somebody having their pre-painted miniatures sitting down with somebody who's a hobby painter, and both of them, appreciating one another and having fun and not being excluded from the game because for one reason or the other. We've envisioned people playing the one-off game and then running across somebody who's playing the Legacy Edition and going, oh wow, this is kind of neat. And it's like this gateway into RPGs. The other thing I want to talk about is being an indie publisher. I'm as indie as it gets. I'm the marketing department, I'm the shipping department, I'm customer service. I do all the ads, the layouts, the 3D animations. The only thing I don't do are the sculpts and the artwork for the game. I have amazing artists around the world that do that aspect of it. So when you see the price point that you see for pre-painted miniatures, that's one of the big reasons why. But I want to turn this into a full-fledged publishing company. I want to have employees. I would love to be able to get things out to you faster and take these ideas and concepts and turn them into prototypes quicker. But we haven't quite hit that level of support for the project yet. So I want you to realize that you're not just funding a game. You're going to be funding a publishing company. There's no way I'm going to be able to cover everything in this video. There's no way I'm going to be able to cover everything in this page. I encourage you to ask me questions in the comment section, email me, jump into the Discord, post something on Facebook. Whatever you're comfortable doing, reach out and pick my brain and let me tell you more about the game. So just to summarize, this is a campaign for an expansion that's going to take more toys to throw into that sandbox that is the NEXUS Arena combat system for people to play with. There's a lot that's already been done that you can go back and grab if you're new to this, and there's a lot coming in the future as well. This game isn't going anywhere. This is something that you can count on constantly being developed and pushed and expanded. We have so many ideas for this. There are so many things in the works beyond what we're doing right now. And the more the community grows, the more support that we gain for this, the more of these ideas we're going to be able to bring to life to expand and grow both the game and the hobby. So jump on board. We're having a great time. We'd love to have you here with us, being a part of it. And yeah, that's it. Bye. Cut. Done.